This is C3, Couples Casual Conversation. I'm GregoryDeon.
I'm DorianMarie.
And we are here to have a conversation.
If you can tap in the comments, make sure you can hear us. We're on several different platforms, 3 or 4 different devices. Tonight's topic is, how do you know when your partner needs therapy or both of you need therapy? What I'm going to do is I'm going to read from my intention cards on how to address that, especially when it's men and women. How do you know the man needs therapy, or if I need therapy, or we both need therapy?
Hold on real quick. Before she reads it, she's not giving this question to determine for me or for a man to determine whether the woman needs therapy.
Right.
This is whether you know how to figure out how you may need some help. And she's to figure out how she may need some help, and both of you are involved in a relationship. Before it starts to do this, we got to determine, how do I figure out that I might need some help?
Because you might be great for each other, but because there's toxicity, there's arguing, there's fighting, you may think, oh, this is not the one for me. But what if it is that one of you just needs to get some help?
Right. And we don't want to call it bringing baggage into a relationship.
Okay.
It's just the things that you could be attached to prior to your current relationship.
Right. So I'm going to read from the 31-day intentions, him to her. And this is something that he would be saying to himself, or something that he would manifest for himself. It says, as a man, I will get therapy, counseling, or any assistance in healing and becoming whole. She is worth it, and so am I. I'll do whatever is necessary to thrive with her. Inner work is key. So as a man, how do you feel about men getting therapy in the relationship, or is it a common thing? How do you feel about it if you had to get personal therapy?
Mm-hmm. I feel like inside, outside of a relationship, I think it's necessary for a man to get therapy, period. I think every man has some ties or some deep-seating emotions or just some things that they just may need to talk to someone about. Right. A person sometimes throughout their life will develop what we like to call patterns and cycles. Patterns and cycles. And everyone has some patterns and some cycles. Some of those patterns can be good. Some of those patterns can be toxic. Some of those patterns just can be outright devastating. And so it's necessary for, especially the man having to hold the title of the leader, the protector, definitely needs to, look within, get some counsel, some therapy, and dealing with some of the strings that you may have attached to your life, from growing up, being in previous relationships, and, just being involved with different organizations and things like that. Okay. So I think it's necessary. So
let's get to it. Let's get to the meat of it. How do you know, though, that my partner or I need therapy? What are the signs in the relationships that say you need to get some help or I need to get help? And who determines that?
So I believe that what will determine that, if you find yourself fighting against yourself, fighting to break the bad habits that you have. And once you initiate to break that cycle, to break that, thing that continues to haunt you, that would indicate that maybe I need some outside help. Because sometimes those bad things may not only disrupt you and your, progression, and you becoming more of yourself and, just elevating. It could be those little small things that we kind of push to the back that we really don't think that's affecting us are actually the thing that's holding us back. And so once you discover that there's a cycle that you're in, and okay, let me back up. So how do you discover that cycle? Well, first off, you have to start paying attention to your actions. You have to start paying attention to how you respond to certain things. And even broader, how do you act in different venues, atmospheres around different people, at work, at home, around your kids. You have to make sure that you are paying attention to how you're behaving, how you're responding, how you're talking, because that's going to be an indication that maybe I'm having some pull in some areas, or having a cycle of responding outside of myself, versus being genuine and unique in every atmosphere that I'm in.
Here's the thing. A lot of couples will go get couples therapy, and that's not the answer. Sometimes it's just one partner or both, but getting separate therapy, separate counseling, right? And that applies to men and women. Now, why do you think that people would rather just deal with the toxicity, the trauma, the arguing and the fighting, and they normalize that versus normalizing, and thank you, Marianne, I did see your comment, normalizing peace and harmony. Like with me and you, the standard for our relationship is peace and harmony.
Yeah.
If it doesn't bring us peace and harmony, if that means people need to leave our relationship, people need to, if it's not peace and harmony, then you and I, we move around. So why do people just normalize the arguing and the fighting and the toxicity versus, you know what, let's do what we got to do to find peace and unity?
So I would say why people normalize it is because, we've been taught growing up that we should have a universal front, meaning to act some kind of way in front of other people or in public, versus just being your authentic self. And normalizing toxicity is not a good thing. And, trying to pretend and act like you're something that you're not is always going to show face at the end of the day.
Yes.
And if you have, searched within and you want to be the best version of yourself, but then you start feeling the resistance from yourself, that might be an indication you might need to go talk to somebody.
Right.
Because if you're finding yourself battling with yourself, there may be some things that haven't been addressed from your past or from your current that you may need just some professional help to talk to. And it's nothing to be, I'm just going to say it, as a Black people, we kind of downplay therapy. We kind of downplay counseling, and we want to try to be, that person to just figure it out on their own. Those systems are put in place for a purpose. Go ahead.
Or Black people or men too. I don't want anybody in my business. I don't want nobody in my business. So I'm not going to go get any kind of therapy or counseling.
And here's the thing, for myself, I've learned that being humble and being vulnerable helps you release a lot of different things that you could be consciously and unconsciously holding on to. So you have to put yourself in a vulnerable situation sometimes just to let things go and see, why is it that I'm holding on to these certain things so tightly? Why can't I let it go? What is it about these certain things or habits or people that's keeping me from just moving forward? Because we all want to move forward and want to progress. We want to progress. We want to do. I want to be the best version of myself every day, inside and out, whether I'm at work or whether I come home. It's about consistency. It's about just putting your pride to the side. And we've been taught as a Black people we should be proud and prideful. Well, we also need to be humble and conscious and self-aware of some of these things that we've been conditioned to believe over time to become the best version of ourselves. Some of those things may not be 100% conducive or may not fit for your certain situation. Right. And so there's a lot of things to consider.
One thing too is women. A lot of women will project things into their relationship. And really, you may need to get some help, especially when it comes to how you feel about yourself, and then you'll project onto him that he's doing this and he's doing that. And so one of the decks that I wrote for our relationship is 31-day intentions, her to him, and how I need to reprogram my mind. Women in general, how you need to reprogram your mind. And it says that I address all insecurities, if any, so that I do not project or accuse or suspect things that are not there, only to create situations that do not serve my relationship. If professional help is needed, that is okay. That's day 16. So what these are is 31-day intention cards that I wrote from her to him, him to her. They're on my website, IamDorian.com, but there's also just general love. It doesn't have to be her to him, him to her. And so women, we can create situations in the relationships that are not there. We can create scenarios and accuse and suspect and project when really it's something on the inside that we need to deal with. And we also need to seek professional help. It's not just the man. And so that's why we are advocates of not just couples therapy. Yeah, that's great. Because even when you get in couples therapy, mostly all you're going to do is blame the other. He's doing this, he's doing that, she's doing this. But then when he do that, she do that. How about just, like he said, everybody needs to maybe at some point in life just get some help. Just see where you are, get the temperature. Now, therapy, like professional therapy, may not work for everybody. I personally have not been to a professional therapist, but I have therapized myself. I have done a lot of research. I've studied a lot of books. I'm very spiritual. As you can see, that's what this page is all about. And so I know how to tap into things like, okay, I need to work on this, and then I'll go and find the answers. But some kind of way, if there are consistent, like he said, if there are consistent patterns and consistent communication issues, it's the same problem over and over, that is a sign that one or both of you need some outside help.
For sure. I would say this, I got therapy.
Okay.
Straight up. For all my fellas, look, man, I'll be the first one to tell you, brother, it worked. It helped me a whole lot. The most important thing it helped me to do was to see myself. And not to see what I was conditioned to be. Mm-hmm. And it helped me to really dig deep into discovering who I want to be. And not what someone chose me to become. But who do I want to be? What legacy do I want to leave for my family? You know, what the type of stand-up guy I want to be. And so there was a lot of digging. You know, there were some things that I discovered about myself I didn't even know was there. I don't know who put it there. But we pick up stuff from everywhere, man. And, you know, it is good to just, have that time to just dig and dig and dig. And finding yourself and discovering yourself is an amazing thing. And so to all my fellas out there that are a little apprehensive about going to therapy, just do it. Just try it. And when you go, take it serious and be honest with yourself. The person sitting across from you, whether it's in person or via, internet or whatnot, they don't know you.
Right.
And so if you sit there and lie to them, as a trained therapist, they're probably going to pick up that you're lying to them. Right. But just be transparent, let it all out there. There's no judgment, there's no fear. Like I said, that person doesn't know you. You can just tell them whatever you need to tell them and get it off of you, because that's the part that's holding you back. Is you holding on to things that are necessary. Right. Get those things off of you, man. Just get those things off of you, man. Become the best version of yourself.
Right, because we found out, we know we like each other. We know we get along fine. So what are these consistent, little hiccups? And like you said, you got therapy. And when you would come back from sessions, I would never ask you, well, what they talk about, what they tell you about yourself, what you need to be working on, so I can keep you accountable. I didn't say anything, act like he didn't even go. And I'm going to tell you, this man has done the work and continues to do the work. I have to give that to him. He does the work. Yeah. Whenever something comes up, he finds a way to figure out what it is, what's the root, because we go well together. We do good together. But sometimes in relationships, the stuff that's coming up has nothing to do with the other partner. It could be something that happened a long time ago with somebody else, some kind of other way, and it's in the relationship. So if you're just joining us, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about when one or both partners need therapy and how to tell when and what to do, because sometimes you are meant to be together. Yeah. You really are, but it's stuff that's in there. But what people will do is they'll go get couples therapy because they think we can't get along, we can't communicate. He does this and she does that. When it's something probably that's up in you or up in me, or that you need to go get some help. No, baby, that's all you. You need to go get fixed, and then we're gonna be all right.
And hey, all that's good. And some of us are broken and don't know that we're broken. and we've spent a lot of time putting band-aids and ointment
Right.
and dirt
Right.
on our wounds.
Right.
And really, we just need to have a conversation. That's what all
Right.
this is about. It's just having a conversation. Some things are hard to talk about, whether it's with someone that you know, someone that you love, or a complete stranger, because it creates a space of vulnerability, and that's okay, because that's, at the end of the day, that's what's going to make you strong, to be able to have those rough and those tough conversations with anybody, to build yourself up from within. You can walk around with a mask on and body armor all day long, but at some point in time, that's going to have to come off. Who's underneath? Is it you, or is it who you are pretending to be?
Or who somebody told you you're supposed to be.
Right.
And now we have issues because I thought I was with you, but there's a whole other version of you that I'm having to deal with. Or vice versa, same here. Are you dealing with my mama? Are you dealing with, stuff that the church may have taught me? Or who are you really dealing with? And sometimes that only comes out through professional help.
Yeah.
And some people will try to go get couples therapy thinking that's going to save us, when really it's individual. It's the individual work that needs to be done.
Yeah, and I feel safe saying we're not knocking couples therapy.
No, I'm not.
But there needs to be some individual therapy.
Right. That's what we're stressing.
Before you come together, because then it's going to be, like she mentioned, it's going to be a you is going to be the blame game. I respond this way because you did this, and I did this because you did that. And that's tit for tat. That's what toddlers and little kids do.
Right.
You know what I mean? But as adults, we got to do the work on ourselves, then come together and see how things are going to fit and how to flow, and where we can make an adjustments on how we, operate with one another. And I mentioned this in another video. I had to learn I had to learn how she likes to be treated. I couldn't just go based on, treat people how you want to be treated. Well, you got to learn how that person likes to be treated, and then vice versa. She had to learn how I like to be treated. And that's what, makes things easy and makes things flow. And once we put in the time to learn one another, and then it makes it easier to treat one another.
Yeah, because we don't do hard. We don't do hard love. We don't do struggle love. We do easy. Because I don't want it. If it's not going to be easy, I don't want it. Yes, there's work, but it doesn't have to be hard work. If we truly are the right person for each other, we did that in our last video. We have a YouTube channel. If it's the right person, doing the work should be easy. And, in the way that we interact with each other should be easy.
Right.
Like, we don't yell at each other. We don't call each other out of each other's name. If I got to do all that, then I don't need to be with you.
Right.
We don't need to be together. If we got to cuss and do all the toxic stuff, I know I've had that in my first marriage. And so, I did some self-work. I'm not doing that. I'd rather be by myself.
And fellas, don't, I had this in my head for a while, and it kind of delayed me going to get some help. Don't allow yourself to convince yourself that you're going to get some help or seek help for somebody else. Has nothing to do with them. Tomorrow is not promised for nobody.
Right.
Go get help for you so you can be the best version of yourself. Because if you're doing it for somebody else, you're going to come out of that situation empty. That's not good.
And when people get married, especially in the church, they'll be like going to get, couples counseling or something before marriage. But people should do it just as individuals. Some people do counseling, therapy, all the, there's different modalities, and again, if that's not your thing, I'm the type of person that can go within. I can go within and I can go find it, snatch it out, do what I need to do. But some people do need to seek professional help. Yeah. I'm an advocate of both. But sure. I'm on different screens because we're on two different.
So we jumping back.
Yeah, we're on different platforms.
We with y'all. Come on with it.
So I'm just reading. We're on Facebook and TikTok, and we're on Intuitive Intentions. That's my channel where I do intentions and teach you how to manifest. And we're also on our Couples Casual Conversation, our couples channel. But some reasons why people don't get therapy is because they feel like the other person is the problem. They feel like Black people especially don't get therapy. They can't afford to get therapy, and they don't want to grow or develop. They don't want to change as a person. So why? I'm not doing that.
Well, you know,
They just go be with somebody else.
There are some people out there that are comfortable being broken.
That is true.
I'm sorry. I know that comes off a little tight.
Right.
But some people are comfortable being broken, you know, because some people will tell you things like, or say things like, this is just who I am.
I knew you was going to say that. I knew you was going to go there.
Who I am. And either you accept me the way that I am, or you need to move around. It's like, okay, you're not projecting good behavior. That's not who you are. That's something that you've picked up. Those are routines. Those are patterns.
Yes.
You know, I don't think that we were created in a sense to go and attack one another. You know, just as nature is all connected, I believe that we're all connected as well. And we have to learn how to flow with one another. We create blocks between one another. We create tension between one another. We create all these things that we hate, but we create it. You know, forgiveness is a real thing. But until we go within and forgive ourselves for the things that we've done, it's kind of hard to forgive somebody else. You know, it's kind of hard to give something that we don't have access to, or we haven't developed within ourselves. Hey, who's going on?
Kyle, what do you mean by this part where you say, unfortunately, the buy-in is 21 years and I don't teach? What you mean? Say more. Say more about that. And while we're waiting for Kyle, we believe in taking time to ourselves to make sure that we are working on ourselves to be the best version of ourselves. And so another intention that I wrote for our relationship, and you can get these cards. It says that this is day 8, it's 31 days. We take appropriate time and space to go within to keep our hearts and minds clear of old triggers, blockages, or baggage from the past. We cherish the present so much that we prioritize this habit. So what it is I wrote these intention cards, or manifestation cards, how to manifest things in your relationship. And one thing that we do is make sure that we're clearing out old baggage and triggers and blockages from the past. And that's a habit for us.
Yeah.
It's a habit. It's a habit to make sure that we are, because we don't want the past to affect our present and future bliss. So when something comes up, we get in there.
Yeah,
we do.
That past, it can block and it can slow you down and cause confusion and a bunch of other negative things.
Right.
Yeah, hold on.
You were looking at that?
Hold on. Where is it? It says, we cherish the present. So when the past is in your present, you're more focused on what happened versus what you can create. And so when you are in the present, you're more concerned about what you can create versus about what you cannot change. The past is the past. But if you're fully operating in the present, you can enjoy what's happening right now. Anything outside of that, it's going to block you from what's right in front of you. And sometimes we have a tendency to do that because we want things to be right, things to be perfect, things to be, transparent. We want things to work out within themselves, but we can't change the past if it's affecting our present. Being present is dealing with it right then and there versus putting it inside and holding on to it, thinking it'll just fizzle away after time. No, it doesn't. It just continues to fester and get worse and worse and worse. So being present is basically just being present, being right there in the moment and cherishing what's happening right in front of you.
This will only work when you're with the right person.
Right.
I mean, it will.
Because these are things that so everything that we're talking about is not because we came together and said, oh, this is what we're going to do and this is how we're going to make it work. Like these are things that we've talked about, but we made a conscious decision individually. And then when we came in and conversed, it flowed. And so we were like, we weren't just going to try to put on a universal front and make up all this stuff so it sound good and people, falling in and making comments and likes.
Right.
No. Like individually, we had to do the work.
Yeah.
You know, and then when we come together, we're able to create these things, these tools that you all can utilize individually and within a relationship. And we are confident that it will work for you too. Yeah.
If you're just joining, we're talking about when one or both partners need therapy and how to tell. You're welcome to make comments if you like. How to tell if somebody needs therapy, because sometimes it's not that the relationship is not going to work. We don't belong together. We need to break up. But some people think it's because they have those repeated patterns of arguing, fighting, all the things that we're not supposed to be together. Now, sometimes that is truly the case, like my first marriage. It was so many patterns repeated, but I was not with the right person. It was a relationship. The church made us get married, made us be pastor and first lady, right? But with this is a union. There's a difference between being in a divine union and just a regular relationship. We got together because somebody got pregnant. We got together because my mama introduced us. We got together because we lived in the same zip code and there's only 30 people there anyway. Right? Yeah, seriously. But this is a divine union, and it's like we can't even keep ourselves away from each other, no matter how we've tried to just, we're going to separate and we're just going to, go our separate ways. It just, it didn't work. It didn't. But all the things that we're talking about, even these decks that I have written for, a love union, if you're not with the right person, it just doesn't work. It won't work.
No.
That's just my opinion. I'll say that. That's my opinion.
Yeah, it's so we keep saying, these things, these tools won't work unless you're with the right person. Okay. So we have to kind of backtrack and discover, how do you know you with the right person? Well, this is one. I'm going to give you one because it could be different for you. That one to indicate that you're with the right person is that person will listen to you and will listen to you and be able to respond accordingly. Right. There have been a lot of vulnerable moments that I've had with this person here, and she didn't respond to gain advantage of me. I know that's a fear that a lot of men have. I'm not going to share my deepest desires. I'm not going to be vulnerable. I'm not going to even cry in front of her. I can't count how many times I've cried in front of this woman right here. Right. But that's okay. We have to be free ourselves in such, hey, thank you. I don't know what that was. A little hat.
A little hat. Oh, okay. I missed it. I was looking at the screen.
We can't be afraid to share and really be vulnerable with the person. And if we feel that we can't, then that may indicate we're with the wrong person. We shouldn't be apprehensive. We shouldn't be afraid to share our past, share how we feel, our deepest desires. And I'm not saying, please hear me clearly, guys, I'm not saying empty your past into your present, because there's some things that you and I may have done that nobody needs to know about. Right. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, if it's going to have an effect, if it's having an effect on your relationship, it's definitely something that you need to have a conversation about.
Right. Ricky, join get in the box, Ricky. Let me tell you, earlier he said, I'm just going to be honest and say he got therapy, right? When your partner comes to you, because part of it was, this was probably something he was going to do anyway. But when we kept having those repeated cycles, if your partner comes to you and say, you need to get some help, he talks about humility. He said, okay. And he did. And he did. And
why you gotta tell out?
Because you just told me.
No, straight up though. Like,
you
so
just said it.
And that again,
I'm repeating.
Again.
Thank you, Eric.
That's an indication that you with the right person.
Right.
Because the right person will say, hey, I noticed this. And I think you may want to talk to somebody about it.
Right.
And then sometimes we get offensive or offended,
Right.
And become defensive.
Right.
I don't need no help.
Yeah.
I don't need to talk to nobody.
Yes.
I can figure it out.
Right.
Some stuff we can't figure out.
Right.
We'll try and we'll push and we'll go into the meditation moments.
Right.
But man, it's okay. It's
Right.
worth the money spent
Right.
to just go sit and talk to someone and
Right.
get that out. What we got?
Well, like Ricky said, it's all in the delivery because
Yeah.
I saw him and I knew that the repeated patterns wasn't against me and it wasn't anything personal. It was something, like he said at the beginning of the live, that had nothing to do with me. Past life, past the stuff that parents had put inside and all the things, or something that he saw people do in his family, whatever, that was passed down. So that's what I was like, well, maybe you just need to see somebody because I know you love me. I know you care about me. I know, very tender, very sensitive, like never raise his voice, never call me out my name, all the things, right? I know that this has nothing to do with us. And that's why in the intention cards that I wrote, he put that she is worth it. She's worth me going to get this help, but he's also worth it. He deserves it too. Inner work is key.
And so delivery is very, very important. Again, if that delivery is sideways, you might be with the wrong person.
And
so
you'll be single.
If the delivery comes up, if the exchange of information or feelings or concern does come up, it should always be delivered in love. When she came to me, she just said, real calmly, she said, babe, I just noticed, this pattern. And it's concerning me. And, I think you may need to talk to someone about it. And so I was like, you know what?
Right.
Let me think on that.
Right. And then in his time, too, it wasn't just because I said so. And if you're going to come to your partner, and I want to talk about that, too. If you're going to come to your partner, you got to have documentation. I'm a very good documentation keeper. So I was able to come back to him and say, you repeated this pattern here, not in a judgmental way and not in a nagging way. It wasn't this, you always do this, you always do this. But even if I said those words, it was in the delivery. Like, this always happens. Every time this happens, this is the response. Every time this happens, this is the response. So then maybe it's something deeper.
Yeah.
And something more than just a Bible scripture.
Right.
And a prayer line.
You okay?
Okay. You need to see somebody.
And so it said once a person trusts and loves you,
they will be more.
Hold on.
You want to read?
Right.
You can read.
No. I can't read, baby.
He can read,
but
Jack.
I didn't want to go that far.
Okay.
It says once a person trusts and loves. So I'm glad that you wrote it that way, simply because trust is a big factor. And it takes time to build that trust. So, there has been a lot of conversations between me and Miss Me. Yeah, I like that, Miss Me.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of conversations. There have been casual conversations.
Yes. Growth.
And
What do you?
it's just
Opportunities for growth.
Opportunities for growth. And so, but by having those conversations, that's how we were able to build those lines of trust and to continue to build on that. So when we see one another, it's easy to, give an observation. So, because that's mainly what it was. It wasn't her judging me. It's not me. And when I go to her, it's not me judging her. It's just sharing with what we have observed, because we pay attention to one another. We watch each other's routines. We see what one another do in the mornings.
Right. And then when he says, once a person trusts and loves you, trust that I don't need nothing from you. I just see the patterns. Okay. I got my own this, that, and that, or whatever. It's not an ulterior motive for me to show you these things. And I've already been through that to myself. And that goes both ways. If he comes and talks to me about something, It's not an ulterior motive, like, sweetheart, you're a little masculine. I need you to break that down and get on into your feminine, okay? You're being a little masculine.
Yeah. Sometimes the hardest thing for us men is just to simply listen.
Right.
Listen and process the information that is given. We are solution driven. We're going to try to figure it out. And sometimes we will exhaust ourselves to go the easy route.
Right.
That was the ball. And so we try to exhaust ourselves to go the easy route versus just, kind of taking a step back, listen to what's being said and how it applies, and then just act accordingly. It doesn't take anything away from you being a man, promise you. And she will love you that much more because you actually responded in a positive way.
And when I saw that he was willing to sacrifice those times going to the sessions and paying for it, then it makes me want to be more open to do more inner work and meet him where he's at and, do the stuff and do the things. You know what I'm saying? Because if you're going to go through all that for this relationship, what?
Nothing.
If you're gonna do all that, then that's how you also know you're with the right person, because they're willing to do whatever it takes, whatever it costs. Because some people be like, I'm not doing that. I'm not. I don't need anybody in my business. I'm just gonna go be with somebody else or cheat.
All right.
I'm serious. I'm just saying, and that's on both parts.
Yeah. So that's good. That's good, Rick. Appreciate that. Once a person trusts and loves you, they will be more open to accepting the suggestion.
And then the other partner will be more open to doing,
doing the work.
Doing the work with you, and then working on themselves.
Yeah, that's good. We looking at, what's that?
Hi, Eric. Thank you, Eric. Also, so what we're talking about, if you are just joining us, therapy. Sometimes you need therapy. Sometimes it's your partner. Sometimes it's both, but that doesn't mean that it's couples therapy. Couples therapy is great. But that's not always the answer. Sometimes it is an individual inner work that needs to be done, and then the relationship can progress and move forward. And we're also reading from my 31-day intention cards. I have a love union. If you just are wanting to manifest and learn how to speak and think and reprogram your mind on how to think in relationships. And I also have from him to her and her to him, because we're two different energies, right? And nothing is cookie cutter. And so they teach me how to, I wrote them, of course, but they'll teach.
You didn't write.
I wrote the her to him, and you wrote a few cards in the him to her, because I'm not a man. I can't think like a man. And so it's 31 days. You can put a number in the chat. Usually when people come into, this is our first time going live on couples. People will come into the chat and they'll say, read day 15 or read day 14. And that's in any of my decks. I have 12 different ones. Love, money, abundance, all the things. But today we're talking about couples, love, and therapy.
And sometimes it's good when you are both figuring it out to just sit in silence with one another.
That's good. We're gonna talk about that.
Yeah, just sit in silence with one another and just allow your energy to intertwine, and the energy will figure it out. Sometimes situations are hard to express, and it's hard to grasp the words that need to be said in that moment. So sometimes just being together in silence is key. I know sometimes when couples have conflict, we have a tendency to escape from one another. And what that does is opens up the door for other energies to enter. How you protect your united energy is by staying together.
That is true. That has been a habit, a pattern for us. That was new for me. In my other, everybody just leave, just walk out, right? But here, and this was really new for me. Like when there would be conflict or we didn't understand, we fight. And it's not in the way that you think. We fight to work through it and fight to stay in it. Like he would not leave the house until the conflict was resolved. Whether we're just going to sit there and just look, Then we may talk and exchange words and we just sit there. But it was never, I'm going to go to my mom's house. I'm going to go to my sister. I'm going to go. It was always, that's how you know you're with the right person.
So let me piggyback on that. I used to be that guy that would get up and leave. I used to be that guy that would hop in the car, go down to the store, and get something that was probably going to negatively influence me, and be back at the crib all turned up for no reason at all. I was that guy, in the past relationship, and so, but I was able to work through that. Guess how?
How?
By going to therapy.
Wow.
And sitting there and just talking about it.
Right.
Because I figured out that I wasn't running from the person, I was running from myself. And running from the responsibility and dealing with what was within. Because a lot of conflicts don't necessarily happen between you and another person. Those conflicts start only inside, and then we sometimes consciously or unconsciously project it on another person. And that's what creates those tense types of situations. So, yeah.
Really put dedicated to resolving the issue shows real commitment. And that's what it was.
Yeah.
We were dedicated to resolving the issue in that moment. But here's the thing. When you go get help, make sure that it's not a biased therapist, because some people were trying to say you need to get this kind of help. You need to get a Christian, you need to get a faith-based. You need to get,
No, because that's going to, hey, I'm going to tell you how it is. That person is going to push you in a different direction. I don't want to be pushed in no other direction but in the straight and narrow direction. And I don't want it to be tied to any type of, I don't want to use the word, I'm going to say, I don't want it to be tied to any type of specific practice. I want it to be practical. I want it to make sense to me. And I want the tools to be given to me that I can actually practice for myself.
Right.
Not flip a coin, make a wish, and wait. No, it's like, okay, do A, B, and C on a consistent basis. And then you'll start to see a difference in how you respond in certain situations. Okay? And like the situation that we were just discussing, we just sit and can I say it? Right? We just shut up. We sit, we shut up, and just, if we look at each other, that's fine. If we just touching feet, it's cool, but we are still, we're making sure that we purposely stay connected.
Because he's a talker. I know I have my channels, and I've had my channels for years, and I talk. But in real life, I'm not really like that. He talks more than I talk in real life. But he has learned to be quiet and to hear and to listen. He really has.
It was hard, though, because like you said, I like to talk. I probably talk more on this thing that I've spoken all day long.
Right.
But it was a challenge to just close the mouth.
Okay, that's part.
And then just listen. And here's the thing, not listen to somebody, but listen to yourself. We do a lot of things day in and day out, and we never really take time to listen to our inner person, because that inner person is not going to lead you astray. That inner person is going to check you, but we distract ourselves so we never hear that inner person, and we're making a lot of decisions from up here when we need to be listening to our inner man, that man that wants to do right, that's going to lead you down the right path, that's saying you know better. That person is in all of us. And a lot of times we just ignore it, or we put so much up here, we never hear it talking until something happens. And then you're like, yeah, I messed up.
And so, sometimes we're encouraged, you need to see this, you need to see a woman therapist, or you need to see a man therapist, or a Christian therapist. But this is a good question. Ask the therapist, what experience do you have with this issue? You're trying to guide me and lead me, versus, well, I'm a Christian when in the Bible say do this and the Bible say that. I'm not knocking Christian therapy. I'm not talking about that. I'm just saying That's a good question.
It's a great question.
What experience do you have with
So
this issue?
when looking for
And we got 15 more minutes and we're leaving.
Asked that question.
We're gonna end at 9.
When looking for a therapist, you're able actually to search the specific type of therapist for whatever you need, whatever area you need therapy on.
Right.
So before you just go finding a therapist, you need to do a little therapy on yourself. Like, okay, what is my issue? Like, why is this happening? Why? Like, you have to spend that time to really dig it out of yourself. So when you go and talk to that therapist, you can share that thing with them. You don't want to just get a generalist, because then you're jumping all over the place and you're probably not addressing the really real issue. So take some time to really dig it out. And even if you're not sure, but it's something that you want to address that and look for someone that does specialize in that area, whether it be addiction, whether it be lying, whether it be drugs, whether it be family issues, whatever the case. There are therapists out there that do deal with those things.
Because if you get a general therapist, they're going to give you general answers versus what's your experience and applicable knowledge. That's what he put. He said their licenses don't qualify them. Their experience and applicable knowledge are what it validates. That's why, like you said, when you go on your insurance and you search, it'll say behavior specialist or this kind of specialist, this kind of doctor, that kind, and then you can go from there.
Yeah, there are therapists out there that even deal with childhood trauma, specifically just childhood trauma.
Which is a lot of people's issues.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's good notes, man. Appreciate that. That's good stuff.
So we got about 13 more minutes, and if you're just coming in, we are talking about therapy. If it's your partner, if it's you or both, individual therapy, then couples therapy will work too. But if you're not with the right person, that could be quite challenging. And then we're also reading from my intention cards. I can read more from that, and we can piggyback from there.
You want me to read that?
I was just looking at it. Okay. What's today's date?
Today is the 18th. I think we done that.
We did that one before. We'll do another random
one. But we'll say it though, because that's real good. The card says that we greet and leave one another with hugs and kisses. And we all, so even in moments of conflict, even when the two of you are trying to resolve or just trying to work through a rough patch, there are staples that should be embedded within your relationship that is non-negotiable.
That's true.
Like, we will never separate from one another for an extended or a short amount of time without a hug and a kiss. That seals us, that protects us, that lets me know that, we're here, we're in this thing. And if that would happen to be the last moment for myself or her, it's been sealed with a hug,
no regrets,
and a kiss.
Right.
Regardless of what's going on. Sometimes we get in the habit of leaving our person in negative energy. And that's,
or not being present, just
not being
out the door.
Just gone.
And I'm gonna read number 7. And if it's like the other day, if I needed some time just to go within, nothing to do with you, we make sure we communicate that too. Like, hey, I might not text as much for a couple hours. I'm just going to go within, listen to some meditation music, blah, 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 whatever. Because we always stay connected, and the end of that said we sext and text all day. The end of that card.
All day.
Yeah.
Get it turned on before we get back to the house.
Oh, Lord. Yeah, it says we use gentle words with each other. We flirt and sext all day. And so if I need a little time to and he does the same thing. Hey, I'm going to go within, listen to my
meditations.
So number 7, this is from the 31-day love union intention cards to manifest that I wrote. It says, if there is a miscommunication or misunderstanding, my partner is the first and only person to know. My family and friends will never know. unless we choose to tell them. That's basically saying keeping people out of your stuff, just always running to the phone. Girl, that's what he did. Telling your cousin, your mama, all the stuff that he's doing. You go to the person. And so this is for people that need to reprogram their mind and stop picking up the phone and texting and telling everybody. And the first thing you do, wait a minute, we're having a miscommunication. We're having a misunderstanding. I need to go to my partner. And this does not include abuse where you keep that stuff to yourself. There's domestic abuse, and dangerous things. We're talking about the little stuff that happens. Girl, he just keep doing this. Every time I turn, he just, I come to my partner.
Yeah.
And I talk to him.
Because when you involve other people like that, sometimes unknowingly you may be creating an enemy for your person. And I'm not necessarily talking about an enemy in the flesh, but an enemy in the spirit. Because once you speak bad on someone and you have others to agree with what you're saying, it ends up turning into a negative energy that now you've placed on your person. And then when you go back to them, they still in a negative energy and you can't figure out why.
Right.
Well, you were the cause of it.
That's true.
Versus going to them and dispersing and actually dealing with that negative energy, you made it that much bigger. And then, energy doesn't have any walls. It can't necessarily be contained.
Right.
It travels.
Yeah, it does.
And it moves. And it's going to hit your person when you start recruiting and making that negative situation worse than what it is. And it can be easily dispersed of by just going to your person and having a conversation.
We have 8 more minutes before we leave, but you can still share the live. Go ahead and share the live for the last few minutes. I'm going to read from him to her, and then I'm going to read one last one from her to him. And this one is, since it's May 18th, it says, this is from you to me and how you would reprogram your mind. My body and heart only responds to my lady. She is the only one that gets a reaction out of me. I am the only one that arouses her and turns her on in every way.
That's right.
Right. This it's not just about, the intimacy. It's about when you have insecurities and you feel like, well, I wonder if she's looking at somebody else. I wonder if somebody else is more, because you can start projecting that into your relationship and you have to just encourage yourself. No, I'm the only one that arouses her and turns her on in every way. And then you manifest that as well.
Right. In the same way, she's the only one that turns me on.
Period.
Yeah, for sure.
And then lastly,
in 7 minutes.
I'm gonna go eat. Well, okay.
Hey, go ahead, man.
Yeah, I think we did that one. Yeah, we did this.
We got a bunch of decks.
This one is no, it's the same one. This one is from me to you. If I needed to reprogram my mind. I don't know if we did day 18. Ooh, this is a good one. And this is good for women because we have an issue with this. I align with those that support my wholesome relationship. Everybody else has to go, no matter the history, even family.
I surround myself with those who love to see me
love and be loved. Bow chicka wow wow for sure.
So be aware of the haters.
Right, but we kind of recently dealt with something like this.
Yeah,
okay,
because there are energies, man, that are just so there are energies that are created when you just by the mention of a person's name. And a lot of times it's tied to negative situations. And sometimes we don't want to address it and we try to just hop, skip, and jump over it, but it's there.
Yeah.
And we have to be aware that, these names have entities, have spirits and different things of that such. And, when we allow that to enter, when it's spoken, just like, give it to you this way. People will say, just call on his name. There's some other names that you can call on that doesn't have the same effect.
Right.
So you have to be conscious that these names have, spirits and entities tied to them, and could definitely have a devastating effect on the present moment in your relationship. It sounds like a lot, but self-awareness is key to not decipher, but to what's the word I'm looking for? But being self-aware, discernment.
Yeah.
Being self-aware, it enables you to be discerning when it comes to these particular names that you mention, in certain situations. So yeah.
When you talk about aligning with wholesome people that support your relationship, no matter if it's family, friends, and surrounding yourself with people that want to see you love and be loved, the comment was, haters live to destroy what they have accepted that they don't deserve it.
That's tight.
What they have accepted, what they don't deserve. Because what we have is a union. It's special, it's unique, it's real. And other people that have accepted they don't deserve that, then they will speak against it. And they will not accept it. And they will try to find whatever. You know what I mean? And we've experienced that with close people. And that's why we have to align ourselves with those that support my wholesome relationship. And this is for women who have an issue listening to their mama, their aunts, and all different things. And you may have a divine union. So then you will reprogram your mind and say, you know what? I have to align with those that support my wholesome relationship. Everybody else has to go, no matter the history, even if it's family. I surround myself with people that want to see me love and be loved.
And sometimes that's a difficult thing to do, just depending on your history. That may be a difficult thing to do, but in order to continue to progress, as an individual, as a couple, as a union, you have to set some of that stuff aside and put it in check and not allow yourself to even mingle with it, because it's going to attach itself to you. There's some places that I choose not to go anymore, simply because of the effect that it has on me from being there. And once you come into that reality, it makes it easier to stay away. But if you try to convince yourself you can jump back and forth, between two different things, and you gonna be no, it don't happen that way. Yeah. You have to make up your mind to live one way and live it consistently. If you jump back and forth, it's gonna twist you up, and things are gonna start blending in weird ways, and you're gonna confuse yourself.
And people don't know why you're together. They don't know your purpose. They don't know why we came together. They don't understand it. And it's not for them to understand. So they'll speak against things that they don't understand, and they judge things that they don't understand.
And so some people get kind of caught up in why people are trying so hard to understand how it is that you are where you are, and it's simply because they haven't discovered their purpose.
That's true.
If they're spending so much time thinking about you and what you're doing and trying to understand why you're doing it, they have not discovered their purpose, and they're not focused in on themselves. And so don't allow someone to put you in a space that makes you feel you need their approval to continue to do what you're doing. You don't need their approval. You are approved. You are substantiated, and you are more than capable of doing whatever your heart and mind desires without any restraint. You just have to set your mind to it, because people will try to put you in a box. This ain't who you used to be. Right. You've been doing this all your life.
You was raised this way.
This is how you was raised. I had a job I didn't like, so I quit. I didn't need anybody to approve that. Right. I just made a decision, and I decided to do something different. Right. And so let's just, that's why it's important not to let everybody in on what you're doing, and let everybody be in your circle, because they could cause you to have discourse.
Yeah.
And more importantly, or more dangerously, they can create a wedge between you and the person that you're building your destiny with.
Divine union.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, it's a C3.
No. Yes, it is. This is C3.
No, this is C3. This is Couples Casual Conversation. I'm GregoryDeon.
I'm DorianMarie.
And thank you for tuning in to our
Conversation.
You got something else?
Yes, I'll upload this live to our Couples Casual Conversation on YouTube. We have videos there. You can get these cards at IamDorian.com. Entrepreneurship, healing, eating habits, all the things. Love, divine union. And no approval needed. No contest is a plea.
For sure. Like that.
Yes, IamDorian.com. And we'll be back on here next Sunday at 8 a.m. I'm just joking. 8 p.m.
Hey,
We hungry.
yeah, we about to go get some food.
Next Sunday at 8 p.m. on this channel, Intuitive Intentions, we're doing a 7-day focus on manifestation. We'll be manifesting for 7 days straight. I'm going to teach you how to manifest, how to create a new reality for yourself. You can get whatever set or deck you want to get so that you can come to class ready with your materials.
Yeah.
And we're going to we manifested each other.
For sure. And make sure you stay locked into the process.
Yep.
There's always going to be rain, thunder, lightning.
And we use all of that. We use all of that.
And we use everything that comes our way. It's called, we turn every distraction into fuel. Mm-hmm. We got distracted today and we turned it into fuel. Mm-hmm. That's just what we do when we do that together.
Yeah. All right. We'll see y'all next Sunday at 8 p.m. or on our YouTube channel, Couples Casual Conversation or Intuitive Intentions. I'm DorianMarie.
GregoryDeon.
Y'all have a great night.
Have a great one.